Welcome to the Court of the Digester. What have we got for you today, ladies and gentlemen? The civil service, or as I sometimes say it should be called, the uncivil service. I am here to talk about tax. Up yours. Right, the uncivil service. Now, I worked in the civil service for many years as a visitor. Nobody would employ me. Why, are you mad? Right, so I worked as a visitor. I'm going to train them on all sorts of things. I did that video, do you remember, about the emotional support peacock? You remember that? That was in a government building. With me losing my shit and spitting breakfast down my mouth. That was when I was teaching them. I used to go and teach them all over the country, and it was fantastic. I used to love it. They were great people, right? They were great people, and their commitment to the public was awe-inspiring. Because I used to say to them, how'd you do it? Right? Because if I was in power, right, if I worked for civil service, I'd be, I'm not doing this, they're all bloody nuts. And they said, no, we believe in public service, we believe in democracy. Therefore, whatever the people require us to do, we implement. Now, that comes with a whole raft of problems if you get to an extreme point of view, but generally that's an admirable trait and one you would expect to see in civil servants. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share this, mate. So when that's not happening, we have a real problem, and I think that's what we've got now. Now, people call it the blob. You've heard it called the blob before. This blob that's in government, you know, the big blob, the civil service blob. But we've got from the 18th of November a great article here by Steve Edgington, who's done some great work over at the Telegraph. He's cute too, which helps. He's got a little beard. I'm a terrible old man. But this is a doozy. I mean, it's just extraordinary that this has occurred, but it has. So let's go through it. It was in the Telegraph, and links as usual for you in the Dubris. So the senior civil servant wore Black Lives Matter lanyard at official meeting. Is anybody still supporting those grifters? The senior health mandarin, who is required to be politically impartial, also displayed a poster supporting striking miners in one meeting. Right, okay, that's impartial, isn't it? You mad left nutter. A senior health mandarin wearing that displayed a poster, and photographs published by the Telegraph show Rosanna O'Connor, a director in the Department for Health and Social Care, wearing a BLM logo during an online meeting in May 2021, during which officials discussed the dismantling of Public Health England. In another virtual meeting discussing PHE held on the day Public Health England, PHE, held on the day of the local elections in England on 6th of May 2021, Mrs O'Connor displayed a poster supporting striking miners in the 1972 Saltley Gate dispute with the caption, Saltley Gate demonstration, march with the miners. Now, in her private life, this lady, Miss O'Connor, is more than welcome to support whatever she wants. What she's not allowed to do, because of the impartiality rules, is to bring that into the workplace. That was why I admired civil servants so much in the first place. Was their ability to separate themselves from their belief systems to work, essentially, as a servant to the public. That appears to have broken down on a number of levels. I don't know whether you think that, but I certainly do. Let me know in the comments. So Jacob Rees-Mogg told the Telegraph, this does not seem to be in line with the requirement for civil service impartiality, and the Permanent Secretary ought to look into these matters urgently. If that's the Permanent Secretary for the Department of Health and Social Care. A civil servant source, that's not easy, said, the fact senior colleagues feel confident enough to display partisan left-wing symbols and posters during the official meetings is deeply concerning for those of us with different political beliefs. These actions create an atmosphere in which it is implied that there is only one acceptable political viewpoint in the Department for Health, those who support BLM and the left. My colleagues openly support the Labour Party in informal discussions and civil service impartiality is all but ignored by both senior and junior officials. Worst of all, successive secretaries of state do nothing to deal with these particular issues. Now, all civil servants are bound by the Civil Service Code, which states that officials must be politically impartial and not act in a way that is determined by party political considerations or use official resources for party political purposes. Now, fair enough, right? Fair enough. You can't be a public servant and not be a public servant, can you? Here it comes. Mrs O'Connor is the Director of Addictions and Inclusion at the Office for Health Improvement and Disparities, and previously worked in Public Health England on issues surrounding drugs, alcohol and tobacco. The Telegraph can also reveal that civil servants accused then Secretary of State for Health, Sajid Javid, of being transphobic after he tweeted that men do not have cervixes. She's a spider, isn't she? She's one of the ones at the centre of the web. I might be wrong, you tell me in the comments. On the 26th of September, Mr. Javed tweeted that it was a total denial of scientific fact to say that not only women have cervixes. 5 days later, officials in the Department of Health met online to discuss the closing down of Public Health England. Civil servants were able to ask questions anonymously to their senior colleagues via an online message space. One message, which received 89 likes from other civil servants, read, "It's quite unsettling that nothing seems to have been done about the transphobic tweet that was posted by the Secretary of State on Twitter a few days ago. Is anything being done?" Coming over from Public Health England, it leaves me concerned with the treatment of trans colleagues and LGBTQ members of DHSC, Department of Health and Social Care. Another official asked, last Sunday the Secretary of State sent a transphobic tweet saying that it was a scientific fact that only women have cervixes. What message do you think this sends to staff, particularly LGBT staff? Well, I imagine that gays and bis and lesbians have no problem with it. You're talking about the TQ nutters, aren't you? And the message it sends is, you're wrong. One questioner criticised the entire male and predominantly white leadership team of the UK Health Security Agency and asked, how will EDI, Equality, Diversity and Inclusion, be taken forward in the Office for Health Improvement and Disparities going forward? The Telegraph understands that all questions had to be approved by a civil service moderator in order to be published in the online discussion. The Department of Health and Social Care declined to comment. Rosanna O'Connor was approached for comment. This is another example of capture. It's as plain as the nose on anybody's face. What are we going to do? Right? What are we going to do about these buggers? What are we going to do? We need a royal inquiry, an overarching inquiry that takes in the nutters in the gender movement, the queer movement, postmodern. We need an overarching inquiry of the absolute saturation of our public life with these neo-Marxist nutters. That's what I think. You may think differently, and I'm sure, as usual, you will let me know in the comments. Other than that, buy me a coffee, subscribe to my Substack, become a warrior teacher. I'm going to go and have some breakfast. I'll see you later.